Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Just Call Me Mo. And also I want to welcome you back to the Clear Path to Nicotine Free, the program where you will be able to stop smoking free of pain, free of nicotine replacement products today. Today is the day when you can actually stop smoking, quit this habit after you have developed an understanding of what smoking is about and why you continue smoking. I hope that you've had a good weekend. I hope that you understand what this program is about through the introduction video which I posted, which was a little over 5 minutes or so. I also want to apologise about how it was a little bit unprofessional. I did realise that I had to release it on I literally I had no time to reshoot it or anything. Things are improving slowly but surely, as I hope you can see. So to tell you a little bit about how I have my own smoking experience. Now, first let me say that I don't really believe that I can be of much help to you unless I was a smoker myself. Because now I know exactly what you're going through. I know why you smoke, I know why you started smoking or how you started smoking, more or less. Of course there are different cases across in every field, but I know more or less why I started smoking and why you continue smoking right now. So let me first tell you a little bit about myself. I started smoking at an age a little bit earlier than most people. You could say I made up for that by quitting a little bit earlier than most people also, but it goes back to when I lived in Egypt, and I used to sometimes just me and my friends, go for a little sneaky smoke here or there when somehow we'd find a cigarette, as kids do nowadays. And just go for a little cheeky puff. And I remember the day when we actually learned that, oh, wait a second, to actually smoke, you need to inhale it in. Oh, well, I didn't know about that. So what we used to do was just puff it away, really, and then learn that, okay, the actual way to smoke is to puff it and inhale it. So we tried that and kind of, dabbled with it a little bit. And I remember feeling very lightheaded the first, like, more than a few times that I did it. That I smoked, and I remember one day actually I inhaled about half of a cigarette. I think I inhaled in, and the other half was just puffed away, and I felt very sick that day. Got extremely lightheaded, and my friend's house was around the corner. There were three of us, I remember very clearly. So we went back to my friend's house, and I literally felt like I was going to vomit. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take 5 minutes out, guys. I'm going to take a little nap, otherwise I'm going to throw up everywhere. That was rather unpleasant. But I continued on to smoke anyway, just a little bit here and there really. And then came to the UK, kind of didn't really do it very much because I didn't have the friends around me who I used to do it with, and that kind of environment. I was more kind of learning how to actually connect with people because I couldn't really speak English very well. So went to school, etc. Smoked a little bit, but not very much still. Just sometimes here and there, during revision period or wherever, I'd kind of somehow get a packet from one of those dodgy corner shops who was selling to kids, and I have a lot of smoke. But yeah, so in about end of year 9 is when I started smoking properly, I'll say, and that was when I was actually 13 years old. So it was very early on. Not proud of it at all, but it happened, and I accept that it happened, and there's no point beating myself up about it because I am where I am now because of my experiences. Smoked on for about 7 to 8 years, stopped exactly on my 21st birthday. So the best thing about this program is that it enables you to quit smoking without having any pain, without cravings, without willpower, without misery, or any of those things that you may imagine accompany quitting smoking. And that's because with the right reasons, with the right mentality, you can learn how to quit smoking today, free of any pain. Something you should also know about smoking is that it's actually 5% physical and 95% mental. The mental part is believing that you need to smoke, believing that you want to smoke, believing that it's hard to quit, and that believing that you always have to look forward to the next cigarette, believing that it makes you stress-free, for example. All of those things add up to the 95% of the mental part of smoking. The addiction is only 5% of the whole thing. The actual nicotine addiction. And guess what? In 24 hours, your nicotine levels are back to normal again. Completely back to normal again. So, the craving nicotine, You don't have to deal with that. Only smokers have to deal with that, but you don't have to deal with it. So quitting smoking was actually the best thing that I've ever done for myself and for my life. Like I missed being able to take deep breaths. You know, when you go, and it really just, you can really feel it going inside your lungs and go inside your chest and just clearing the pathway. I didn't really feel that before when I used to smoke. You know, it was all like kind of shallow breathing. Didn't really feel like I was getting much oxygen out of the air. And yeah, so my program, as I was saying before, because I'm a smoker myself, I understand how your brain looks at smoking, or how you kind of view it in your mind, more or less. So my program is derived from my own experience, okay, and it's derived from my own experience and how I stopped smoking, because I stopped all at once, you know, as I've told you in the last session. When I actually did research, so in the research phase of the program, I found that there are other methods out there. I mentioned this briefly in my introduction session, but there is one way which is called it's Alan Carr's Easy Way, and that one, when I said 95% quit rate, that's the program that I was talking about for one of their clinics. I can't remember which one it was, but they had 95% quit rate, and in pretty like the clinics range to average at around 80 to 95% quit rate from the program. So it's an amazing program. So I did a lot of research, and I found that a lot of the stuff they use, oddly enough, were actually things that I did myself. Now the psychological techniques which I use they're not necessarily spoken about in the program, but it's the kind of whole breaking down the smoking and why it was smoking. So in my program, I will be using certain things that they have done better than I have, because at the end of the day, they have been in business for about 30 years. They've been helping people quit smoking. So I'm using the expertise and the experience that they have to help my program be the best version that it can be for you. So to keep this, brief, I need you to approach smoking not expecting to fail, because that's one of the problems that people have, is they approach smoking expecting that they're going to fail at quitting. You know, they're like, oh, I'm going to try to quit, okay, and then they go for a day or whatever, and they watch with their friends, and they, in the back of their brain, they still have this thing going, oh, you know, you're gonna smoke again, you know, you're just gonna, you look at their friends and they're like, oh, their smoking is so nice, isn't it? And they just know that they're gonna get back into it. And that's one of the problems, you know. I need you to be able to go into this with the attitude that I am winning. I am going to win at this. Okay? So that's one of the number one things that you need to keep in mind. Another thing is, I want to talk a little about nicotine replacement products. Now, a lot of people say, so what's wrong with nicotine replacement products? Why can I not just use it and it's better than smoking? Sure, it is better than taking in 4,000 chemicals in each cigarette that you smoke. However, you can't really treat an addiction to a drug by giving someone that same drug. You know, it just doesn't really make sense. Yes, there are extreme cases of heroin users and cocaine users where they do treat them, they give them very small doses of that in the hospital, but it's to help them overcome the anxiety they get from not doing that thing. And when we're talking about heroin and cocaine, that's something completely different, because nicotine, you don't get the extreme high which you get on those drugs. You know, it's just more of a state of mind that you kind of get in for a little while, and that's about it. But it's not a full-on high, so you can't compare the two together. Okay, so, and this is all based on research, by the way. You can go out there and have a look around, and you'll see that they're two very different drugs. Yes, people say that nicotine is more addictive than I don't know, cocaine, for example, but it might be more addictive and everything, but it's not the same effect it has in your brain, and that's a very biased point of view, because you have to look at both cases. You have to look at how it affects your brain, so what you get out of the smoke, out of the drug that you do, and also you have to look at it from the point of view of how addictive the substance is on just the addictive base, you know. So nicotine replacement products don't work, and maybe they work for about 5% of people, but for most people they don't work, and they just continue, they just elongate the addiction, you know. People will stay on them for the rest of their lives, just putting patches or taking those things, and they don't feel as good as smoking, so people eventually go back to smoking. And what can make things even worse is that because, for example, with e-cigarettes, I tried those things myself, and you can just, it's like it tastes really good, so you could literally just go and puff away at it for a long time. And that can increase the dosage that you take per time, whatever time frame you want to use, and eventually if you go back smoking cigarettes, you're going to smoke heavier cigarettes and more cigarettes to actually cope with the amount of nicotine that you've taken in. So nicotine replacement products, I'm not too big a fan, and therefore I will not be using them in my program, and I will actually show you a way to quit at the end of this session without having to use nicotine replacement products. Just to put out there, you can continue to smoke during this, that's fine. There's no, it's not, this is not like an anti-smoking program. This is just a way of showing you that you can be free of smoking, okay? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be miserable, and it doesn't have to be difficult for you, okay? It doesn't have to be like, oh, but I'm going to quit, oh my god, this is such a pain, I'm going to go through all that hassle. It doesn't have to be like that. Quitting can be so easy and so nice and refreshing for you that if only you understand how to do it, it becomes a whole lot easier, okay? And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You can be free of smoking. So no longer will you have to stand outside in the cold and smoke. No longer will you have to stand outside in the rain and get wet while you're smoking. Oh, God forbid, no longer will your cigarette have to get wet while you're smoking out in the rain. I remember those days when it would get wet. The raindrop would drop just before the end of the cigarette where it's lit, and then the whole thing would go out and you wouldn't really be able to do much about it. So you don't have to deal with that anymore, okay? At the end of the session, you can walk away smoke-free. I hope that you've taken the sin and that you can see the potential here, because I know you can do it. Just like I did it, just like many people I know have done this by me sharing with them what I went through, the process that I went through. I know for a fact that you can do it too. Okay, so now we are going to explore some of the reasons as to why people smoke and some of the myths behind smoking, okay? So let's start with myths. Now, these myths have essentially been taken out of Alan Carr's Easy Way, but I've also added in my own personal experience in there so that they can relate to you more, so that you can see the bigger picture here, okay? So you can actually understand it. So, the first myth is that smokers believe that smoking relaxes them, that smoking relieves stress, that smoking gets rid of boredom, and finally, that smoking can increase concentration levels. So, what if I was to tell you that smoking doesn't actually increase your concentration levels? If anything, less oxygen is able to run around your body. If you just think about it all logically, therefore, less oxygen is able to reach your brain, and therefore your brain cannot function at its full capacity, because if it's getting less oxygen, this thing requires loads and loads of oxygen to operate, okay? This is a machine, this is a very powerful machine in here. So smoking doesn't actually help you concentrate. If anything, it impedes concentration, because, as I said, less oxygen reaching your brain and less blood flow altogether, because your blood doesn't flow to your extremities as well as it does on a healthy, normal human being. And you can search the facts behind this. This is all scientifically proven. So smokers also believe that smoking gets rid of boredom. Now, what if I tell you that smoking actually can make your life a lot more boring? Now, think about this. How many times have you stood there on your own smoking? How many times have you left the company of people in the office and gone out to smoke? How many times have you left your lecture hall, for example, if you're at university, just to go and have a smoke on your own? You know, there are these things. People think that smoking is a social thing, when in reality, the social part of it is very small. Most of the time people smoke in their daily lives is on their own and not with other people. And that's something that people always overlook. So, another thing, smokers believe that smoking can relieve stress. What if I was to tell you once again that smoking doesn't relieve stress? If anything, smoking actually increases your stress. Very easy again. Once again, think about it logically. And this is the thing, I never thought about this logically, and when I did think about it logically, I was like, wow, why do I smoke? Okay, so with the stress, now as you smoke, your lungs become more and more heavy. Let's say your breathing becomes heavier as your lungs become shallower the more you smoke. So you're less able to take deeper breaths, and deep breaths are well known to relieve stress. The more shallowly a person breathes, the more stressed out they will be. And to prove this, when someone's getting an anxiety attack, what happens? They go into breathing like very shallow breathing, and that actually increases it. And the way to overcome, if you feel an anxiety attack coming, because it happened to actually a relative of mine, and one of the ways to relieve it, to stop it from happening, is to calm down and go. Start taking deep breaths to calm yourself down again. So by taking shallower breaths, which smoking does inevitably, you are actually being more stressed across the years, and you're not aware of that. It's one of those things that are overlooked again. And finally, excuse me, people believe that smoking relaxes them. Once again, relating back to the whole breathing thing, smoking doesn't actually relax people. What happens is that people get a very slight nicotine buzz out of it, and that can sometimes make you feel like you're a bit relaxed. And in fact, the more relaxed feeling that you get out of it is not actually because of the nicotine, but it's more because of the CO2 levels in your blood. Because when you smoke, less oxygen is entering your blood. Therefore, there's more. The CO2 levels are higher, and when CO2 levels are high in your blood, you feel lightheaded, or you feel like you're a bit more relaxed. That's the only thing. You want to feel relaxed like that without having smoke? Hold your breath for a minute. Done. You don't actually need to smoke to feel the relaxation which you believe you get out of smoking, because it's not actually a relaxation, but rather you're depriving yourself of oxygen and increasing your CO2 levels in your blood, and therefore you feel like a little bit more, it's a small scale of dizziness, say on the lower end of the dizziness scale. So the second reason people believe that, one of the second myths about smoking is that smokers believe that they smoke because they choose to. Now, have a think about this. It's really interesting actually, and Alan Carr talks about this. Do you ever remember the point when you chose to be a full-on smoker? So everybody can remember, and they can tell us about the first few cigarettes that they smoked. Everybody can remember, the times when they used to hang around the back of the school with their friends and have a few puffs. But no one ever remembers making the deliberate choice of, I am going to be a smoker from today onwards for the rest of my life. No one ever remembers that day, and that's because smokers never choose to become smokers in the first place. So the third myth that I wanted to talk about is that smokers believe that they will get terrible withdrawal pains once they quit, from nicotine of course. Now that is not true, because nicotine withdrawal is the thing which smokers experience throughout their whole life as smokers, but once they actually stop smoking, they don't experience them anymore, and it's for the simple reason that they're not intaking nicotine anymore. So what smokers actually experience after the nicotine levels go back to normal in their blood, which happens within 24 hours, not that long at all, is it's because they believe that they're making a massive sacrifice, and that can lead to the feeling of perhaps craving because they are missing out on something, when in reality they're not actually missing out on anything. If anything, smokers, once they stop, they're taking a path toward a healthier, better future and a much happier life overall. So when you do stop smoking, I don't want you to feel like you're making a sacrifice, or I don't want you to feel like you're going to get cravings and have that as a scare factor, because it's not true. You won't get cravings and you won't be making a massive sacrifice. The only thing that is stopping you from enjoying the kind of lifestyle where you are free of nicotine pain and free of all of that hassle is having another cigarette. So the fourth and final myth that smokers sometimes believe is that smokers think that it is hard to quit. They believe that it takes a lot of willpower to quit smoking, and the myth that one is weak-willed if they can't quit smoking is actually not true, because if you think about it, it takes quite a strong person, physically and mentally, to actually start smoking regularly and to continue on smoking despite all the risks and all the scary facts that are out there today. Now, a good metaphor I like to use here is the rotten fruit metaphor. This is something that I imagine myself, and if you have a rotten fruit, or if you have a very sour fruit, one that is non-ripe, and you bite into it, you'd immediately spit it out because of the foul taste of it. But if you to actually keep going and keep eating the fruit more and more until you've finished the whole thing, it takes a lot of willpower and it takes a lot of strength to actually do that. And it's the same thing with smoking. Now, smoking, it doesn't smell very nice. It tastes pretty gross, and to actually continue on smoking during the first few times, despite the fact that it makes you cough your lungs out, it makes people feel sick and sometimes vomit. As I shared earlier on with my experience, I was very, very sick at the time, and I almost fainted. I actually had to take an hour or two out to sleep, so I can get myself back together. So to actually continue and go through all of that, it takes a lot of willpower. So what it is with smoking is that we actually teach ourselves to smoke. We actually teach our bodies to become immune to the foul taste and smell of smoking, to all the 4,000 chemicals that enter our lungs from each cigarette, 60 of which cause cancer. We actually teach ourselves to adapt. Teach ourselves to adapt to that and to continue on smoking regardless. And that takes a lot of willpower. So for you to actually continue on smoking, despite knowing all these things, it takes a lot of effort. Tremendous effort goes into it. And it's not a fact, the belief that you are weak-willed if you can't stop smoking, that's false. It's not true. So now that you know that, it'll make things a lot easier for you to actually stop smoking. And something Alan Carr once said, which I'll actually quote here word for word because he put it pretty well, I'd say. He said, provided you realise that there is nothing to give up, you can quit not with a feeling of doom, gloom, worrying about whether or not you've got the willpower, worrying whether the craving will go, but with a feeling of utter elation. Knowing from then on you'll enjoy social situations more and be more prepared to deal with stress. You can now look at smokers not with envy, but with pity, that the reason they smoke another cigarette is to try to get back to the state that non-smokers enjoy all their lives, all the time. The only thing that prevents smokers from doing that is another dose of nicotine. So now that you know this, non-smokers are always relaxed, they're always happy, and they're always enjoying the moment. So you don't need a cigarette to make you feel back to normal again. And it's actually only a myth that it takes that you're weak-willed if you cannot quit. It's not hard to quit, it's very easy. Now you know that it's actually easy. Now, when you think about it logically, when you put yourselves in the shoes of someone who stopped smoking, and the logic that they see behind it, you realise that it's actually very easy to do. It's not a hard thing at all, and it's not meant to be hard. You know, it's only false beliefs and things that we tell ourselves without the right knowledge, without the expertise, and those are the things that make it hard to quit. So I believe you can do it, just like I did it, just like millions of other people have done it. So if you ever fell into the trap, like many others have, that it takes a strong will to quit smoking, well, now you know that's not true. Stopping smoking is not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be easy. And with the right set of knowledge, you can do it too. In this book that I'm actually currently reading at the moment, it's called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and it's very interesting because he speaks about how habits form and how people here who are smokers and drinkers and very unhealthy and obese people, they've overcome it like that, and they've decided that they are going to continue onwards from then on to a healthier path in life. And it's very interesting because in this book he says how the neurologists have said this, neuroscientists, and they spoke about how in the brain, so when someone overcomes a habit, while the old pathways in the brain that were associated with a certain habit that they used to do, whether it be smoking, drinking, or eating too much, etc., those would still light up a little bit. But what would happen when someone starts to form a new habit, or when someone has an insight and the knowledge as to how they can stop the habit, is new parts of their brain start lighting up and showing a lot of activity. And that new activity, it actually overrides the old one until eventually that gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and then the old one is just gone. And all it takes to start that is the knowledge. the key bit of knowledge to have to actually make you realize that you can do it. You know, when you see yourself in a situation where I can go without it, it takes that. So it's all good from here. Okay, so my new logo has just arrived. Please comment, tell me what you think. So in order to make this as flexible as possible for you guys, what I've done is the system here is very simple. Okay, you can either quit right now at the end of this session, done, no more smoking, because you will know and you have the right techniques that you need to use and everything that you will actually need to know to be able to quit after this one session. However, if you feel that you want to use a deadline, that option is also there. So whichever way suits you best, go for it. But the thing with the deadline, now there is no specific time period I'm going to give you here, but I would say make it within 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks to a month maximum. Because that way you can actually come attend the first, second and third session, and then after that point you would definitely have the skills that you need and all the knowledge that you need to quit smoking. The deadline as well system is you don't. That's the thing, because this is what I actually did myself. Is I said to myself, okay, by the time I go into second year of university, I'll be a non-smoker, and the important thing here is by the time. So it's not on that date I'm going to stop, because that can put a lot of pressure on smokers, and that can put a lot of just unnecessary stress that, oh my god, the day is nearly here, I need to stop. No, what it's going to be is very nice and calm and simple. By that date, I won't be smoking anymore. So if you feel like that the right time to stop is tomorrow, it's tomorrow. If you feel like it's now, stop now. If you feel like it's in 2 weeks time and your deadline's in 3 weeks, stop in 2 weeks time, you know? And that's the great thing about it. Now, some of you will also need more time to use techniques I'm about to share with you for it to have a bit more of an effect on your brain and actually instill those new habits in. And so for some of you, having a deadline will be better than stopping right now. However, if you feel that you are ready after this session, please go ahead and let's do it together, okay? Now, comment below the video and write how you feel about the whole thing. If there's anything that you think I was naive about or I didn't consider, please feel free to share that with everyone. It would be great, because then I can help and support you guys better. Also, there's a group on Facebook. It's called The Clear Path to Nicotine Free. The group, please add yourself to it, and on there you'll find like-minded people. We can all support each other, you know, we can all be there for one another. If you need any help, anything, email me at any point, anytime, 24/7. I'll try to be available as much as possible. My email is below in the description section. It's whereismo@gmail.com, but the where is spelled WHRS. Anyway, so moving on now. The first technique I want to share with you is using imagination combined with emotion. Okay, now this is very powerful, because a lot of psychologists, they've spoken about this, and a lot of people, a lot of psychologists and successful individuals, they know the power of imagination when combined with emotion. Emotion combined with imagination is like this, okay? Imagine that imagination as a pebble. When you chuck it into the river, the ripples form around the spot where the stone was struck. The more emotion you add is like you're increasing the size of the pebble. The bigger the pebble, the more ripples it's going to make in the water, and the bigger splash and the bigger power it will have, an impact. Okay, so that's the thing with imagination, combined emotion. So another technique that I'm also going to be talking about here is association and dissociation. I mentioned this briefly in the introduction session. This is another very powerful technique, and especially when combined with imagination and emotion, it can do absolute wonders for you. So the thing with association dissociation is when you associate yourself with the right thing, because your self-image is very important to you as an individual. Okay, this is something that we don't learn enough about, but it's actually very important how you view yourself and what you think of yourself, how you imagine yourself when you're walking down the road and all that stuff, or whatever it is that you're doing in life. So when you learn to associate with the right things and dissociate away from the wrong things, then you can reach your goals a lot faster and you can do things with much more impact in life. So here is something I want you to try and do, okay? Now, you know when you kind of think of your day, or you almost plan it out in your head in the morning or in the evening or whatever, or you think of yourself doing something in the near future, if you'd ever catch yourself with a cigarette in your hand, I want you to remove that association. So I want you to dissociate away from it. And I want you to imagine yourself in your mind taking a deep breath of fresh air, going. And really, I want you to feel the air as it goes into your lungs, and your chest expands out. And you know, when you only take such a nice and deep, refreshing breath of air, like in the early morning, for example, and it really fills you up, and you exhale it nice and calmly, and you feel that relaxation, and you feel that positivity. So association and dissociation is a very powerful tool that you can use for your benefit. Same with emotion and imagination. So when you imagine yourself taking out your daily actions, you know how sometimes in the morning when you wake up you just be like, okay, yeah, so I'll do this, then I'll do that, and then I'll shower, then I'll have breakfast or whatever, and then I'll leave the house and walk to the bus stop and get the bus, for example. Now, when I was a smoker, for example, this is what I used to do subconsciously, and when you actually start looking to notice those things, you will notice them. And I'd imagine myself, okay, so I have a cigarette on the way to the bus stop, I'd see myself with a cigarette in my hand. Now, whenever you notice yourself doing that, I want you to remove that cigarette, and I want you to take just a moment to imagine yourself breathing deeply, going, taking a very deep breath. I want you to feel the calmness, I want you to feel the freshness as the nice air goes through your lungs and goes in nice and deep, and your chest expands out, and you're able to breathe like a healthy person, not like a smoker. And exhale nice and smoothly, and there's no that feeling at the end of it, you know. And every time you see yourself with a cigarette in your hand in your mind, or you associate yourself as a smoker in your mind, straight away, right there and then, cut it out and do it. Dissociate yourself from it. So that's the power. This is very powerful, because research has found that this was ages ago they found this out, and it's actually been proved recently once again. Research found that your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real life experience. So when you have for example, every time you imagine yourself not smoking, you imagine yourself as free of cigarettes. You're walking down the road and going to the bus stop, for example, or going to your car. So you don't think of yourself as a smoker, but you think of yourself as non-smoker, someone who can breathe well, someone who dissociated from the idea of smoking. Your brain thinks the deeper you imagine it, and this is why I was saying about emotion and the ripple effect. It comes and plays a big part in this. So the more emotion that you feel, your brain can't tell the difference that it's an imagined experience, and it thinks it's a real experience. And what that does is it starts laying the neural pathways in your brain that this is who I am now, this is the new habit. And it's amazing, it will do you wonders. You can do this with so many things in your life, not just that. You can imagine yourself before going to sleep at night, take a moment just to imagine yourself getting up nice and early in the morning with a smile on your face, feeling happy. Not getting up and being like, oh, it's so early but I have to get up. No, imagine yourself nice and calm, imagine yourself with a happy start to your day. And when you get up, you'll feel happy and you will have a good start to your day. So the more you do these things, the more it helps you to stop, and the more it will prepare you. So whether you're taking the deadline route or you're taking the now route. Now, if you stop right now, okay, after this session, you still should do these things on a day-to-day basis, because accompanied with the fact that you're already taking the new habit on of not smoking, accompanied with that, you'll set the neural pathways in your brain a lot faster and a lot bolder. They'll have much more of an effect on you. So I've kind of combined association, dissociation with emotional imagination methods here. And another thing you can do is, if you once again using associations and dissociations, if you're part of a smoker group, for example, and you used to go out for cigarettes together, don't dissociate from the people. No way. You want to be on good terms with everyone, but dissociate yourself from smoking with the people. So, you know, when they say, imagine yourself going through the experience of them saying, okay, should we go out for a cigarette? Imagine yourself going through and saying, no, I'm alright, thank you. Or, not now, I'm okay, thanks. Imagine yourself doing that. And again, the more vividly imagine yourself, the easier it will be for you to do it in real life. And because your brain will already have set the tracks, the train will just need to zoom through it. Okay? So, those are amazing methods that you can use. Now, with imagination, okay, I want you right now to imagine yourself as a non-smoker. I want you right now to imagine yourself walking somewhere you go usually, okay? I want you to imagine yourself taking a route which you take usually and you smoke on that route. So for me, it was going from the bus stop and into school, for example. So I want you to imagine yourself at a time of your day or some time when you usually have a smoke, for example, maybe with a coffee in the morning. Now, you there? Okay. I want you to imagine yourself making the coffee, for example, or going out to the route that you usually take, and I want you to mentally remove the cigarette from your hand. And now I want you to take a deep, deep, fresh breath and really feel the air as it goes into your lungs, sits deep within. So, and exhale, and feel the freshness. Feel that your lungs are really filling and that you don't need to be smoking, and that the oxygen intake that you get from the air is better than any smoke. You are not a smoker. Originally, humans, when we're first born, we are not smokers. We are born into a world with fresh lungs, with a body that knows that we do not take smoking very well, whether it be smoke from a car, whether it be smoking cigarettes. Imagine when you are in traffic lights and you have your car window open and there is one of those good old London buses in front of you and he's releasing a lot of smoke into the air. Now you feel sick from the smoke, you don't like the smell. That feeling there, that's the feeling you first had in your lungs when you took your first toke of a cigarette and inhaled it in. The first time. It went in and it closed everything up and your lungs are like, oh, get this out of me. Because, believe it or not, our bodies are not built to smoke cigarettes. And the best way to go is to go by nature's ways. So, I want you to free yourself from smoking. Because you can do it. Only you can free yourself from smoking. Now that you understand and you have the right set of knowledge, you understand the myths behind smoking. You understand why people smoke and why people believe that it's hard to stop. When in reality, it's not the truth. The truth is, to give up smoking is easy. It's not hard. You can do it. You've got very strong willpower. In fact, you may even say that you have more willpower than the average person because you went through the nasty experience of making your body adapt and become immune to the smoke. So you could say that you actually have more willpower to go through that and put up with the foul taste and the foul smell and put up with all of the nasty things and the risks that come with it and continue smoking. You could actually say that you have more willpower than the average person. Therefore, you can just use the exact same willpower to stop right now. And I'm telling you, you'll feel liberated. And one of the best things you can do is use association. Associate yourself with the right kind of environment that you want to be in. Dissociate yourself from the environment you don't want to be in, from the things you don't want to be doing. Okay? And once again, imagination, emotion. Imagine yourself. Imagine yourself as a non-smoker. Imagine yourself taking your daily trips without smoking. Imagine yourself looking in your wallet and finding extra money simply because you don't spend it on smoking anymore. You know, when I stopped smoking, the amount of things I actually managed to get for myself, unbelievable. So much money I used to waste on cigarette packets. I don't have to deal with that anymore. Now I can be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll get it. Prime, next day, perfect. I couldn't do that before because I smoked, because I spent my money on that stuff. So now you have the right set of knowledge and the right skills to do this. I want you to practice the methods I've taught you, the psychological methods, because they do work. They're based on scientific facts and research. One of the methods with imagination is based on about over 30 years of research and experience. And it's not from this program. None of this stuff is actually from the programs that I researched. All of this is from books and psychologists and scientific research that I've looked up myself. And some of these concepts are taught in books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Some of these concepts are taught in Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. All of these amazing books out there with an amazing amount of knowledge in them, they all teach very similar concepts, and they all talk about how imagination is very, very powerful when used correctly. So now that you understand all this, I want you to set yourself either a deadline and say to yourself with conviction, I will stop by that time. Not at that time, but I will stop by that time. I know that I will be ready to stop by that time because I feel it within me, because I am taking the steps required by imagining myself and putting myself in the right environment in my mind. And my brain doesn't know the difference. My brain thinks this is all happening. Therefore, I will be able to stop by that time. If you're going to stop now, after this session, say to yourself, I know I will stop after this session because I know I have the willpower. I've just learned that I have the willpower. I've just learned that I can actually do this. It's not going to be hard. In fact, it's going to be fun. And I'm really looking forward. I want you to say that to yourself, and I want you to really feel it. You know, it's exciting when you're doing something new, when you're doing something healthy for your life. Something that will affect you for the rest of your life, that will affect your kids, that will affect your grandkids, you know? It's amazing. There are 2 more things that I will mention, which you can use to also help you in stopping. So, logic. Logic is powerful because I've broken it down for you logically why you don't actually need to smoke and why you didn't actually choose to smoke and why you can stop easily, okay? Now, I want you to convince yourself logically, not by, you know, some pseudoscience or whatever. No, logically, if you actually think about things logically, you'll realize that the image is a bit different from the story that you tell yourself sometimes. And I want you to logically convince yourself, whenever you start thinking about smoking or you feel old habits maybe coming to kick in a little bit, think about it logically. Do I actually want to smoke? Do I actually want smoke from fire just going into my throat and into my lungs? Why? There's nothing that I get out of it. You know, I've proved to you why you get the little kick from it. The nicotine, done within 24 hours. You stop now, 24 hours later, you will have no cravings from nicotine. Okay, the only thing stopping you from that life, from that fresh, healthy life, is having another cigarette. Okay? You want to feel a little bit lightheaded? Hold your breath for a minute. Like I said earlier on, your CO2 levels in your blood will rise, oxygen levels will fall. Together, they combine and give you the effect of feeling lightheaded. You know, there's nothing new here. When you stop as well, you'll be able to do sports and take on healthier physical activity. It's actually like, there's a word for it, but I can't fully remember it, and it's when 2 things affect each other. So you stop smoking, you start feeling yourself wanting to do more sports. You do more sports, you feel yourself less and less inclined to smoke. So it's an amazing thing, you know, amazing experience. You just need to start one way or another. If you're going to set yourself a deadline, I really do suggest that you maybe start just doing a little bit of fitness, a little bit of activity. You know, you don't have to go for a jog if you don't want to jog. Do some push-ups. Do some sort of anything that you're comfortable with. It doesn't even have to make you go out of breath. Just some sort of sport, something to get the blood flow running around your system and start making you feel what it's like to actually have the energy. The amount of energy you get after you stop smoking is unbelievable. Smoking makes you so lethargic. It's actually like I'm so excited a lot of the time. I'm calm, yeah, I'm excited, and that's because I don't smoke anymore. You know, one of the reasons anyway. More sports as well, the more energy you have. They both are very linked together. So, to share with you one last thing, think about the practicality of it. It's much more practical for you not to be a smoker than it is to be a smoker. You don't have to finish your cigarette and miss the bus because you want to finish the cigarette. You know, you don't have to stand by the side of your car for a little bit just because you don't want to smoke inside. You don't have to deal with these things anymore. You know, you don't have to smell bad for a little bit until you smell better. You don't have to deal with all the negative things that come with smoking. and you'll be able to enjoy your social life much, much better. I can guarantee you that. So I want you to pat yourself in the back right now for making it through to this part of the session, because this is the part right now you have just unlocked, and you have just started setting new neural pathways in your brain, and you have just taken steps towards becoming a non-smoker. And I congratulate you for that. And I feel excited for you, I feel motivated for you that you're actually going to do this. Now, if you need support at any point, as I said before, my email is below. So please email me any point that you'd like. I'll reply as fast as I can. I will be releasing 2 more sessions after this one. The second session will be a follow-up, so I will see you in the follow-up next time, and you can watch. I'll be sharing a couple more techniques then, and you can also comment below. Please tell me how this has helped you, how this has affected you, and the group on Facebook. Please join it. The link is below once again in the description section. Join the group. You'll find like-minded individuals on there. We can all help each other overcome this. Okay, it's not going to be hard. It's going to be fun and easy. And you know what? You might just actually make a few new friends along the way, which will be even better. The third session is going to be in about 2 to 3 weeks time, and when the third session is released, I will be introducing one-on-one sessions also. I can tailor the program a bit more towards individual cases, because certain people will have very specific cases or specific things in their life that they might be struggling with, or certain reasons why they might find it harder to quit, etc. So I will be introducing one-on-one sessions. I will be introducing one-on-one sessions for people who want more of a tailored service, and I will always be here. Now, this is going to be available for everybody. You can all do it if you want. It's fine. I'm more than happy to give you the time whenever you need it, so that we can all go towards a better future. I want you to please comment below and tell me what you think about it. Things maybe I can improve. Maybe, as I said before, things I was naive about or something. I want you to also comment and tell me if you stopped today, if you're ready right now. I want you to comment right now. Tell me, Mo, I am ready. I want you to be motivated, okay? If you're going to set yourself a deadline, I also want you to comment and say, okay, I've set the deadline and I know I am going to stop by that point. And feel it, because you can. I know that you can. Okay? A great quote goes, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I know that you can. And therefore I want you to think that you can and believe that you can, because it's the truth. It doesn't take willpower. It doesn't take more willpower than you already have. You already have plenty of willpower. You just need to direct it towards the right thing, towards your goals in life. Okay? So, thank you very much for sticking through. Once again, please contact me whenever you want. If you want a one-on-one session before then, go for it. Okay? If you really feel that that will help you to get it over and done with quicker, by all means, I'll be more than happy to help. However, I would prefer if you stick through the 3 sessions, because the second session will help more. The people who maybe are not ready right now will help them more. And by that point as well, when you will have practiced the techniques I taught you today, and that will help even more. And then by the third session, you will practice even more techniques and stuff, and by that point, I'm sure that you will be able to quit. But if you still feel that there's something that's stopping you, then the one-on-one sessions will be available. They're available now. If you really want them right now, by all means, do it. Okay? Just email me on the link below and tell me, Mo, I want a one-on-one session, and I'll be more than happy to. And yeah, please share it with all your friends who are smokers, family who are smokers. Help them quit too. And when you quit, you will set the example for them, and they'll be amazed. You know, do not ever, ever listen to people who will say to you, you cannot do it. Tell them, wait for it, watch me. Tell them that, okay? Don't believe them, because People only say these things because they don't understand. They don't have the set of knowledge you have right now. You have just learned the myths behind it. You have just learned that you do not actually need to be a smoker. They don't know that. If they say that to you, send them this video. Tell them, here, have this, and then tell me if you still think so afterwards. Okay? Best of luck to you. All the love. And I will see you in session number 2. Really looking forward to hearing from you in some comments. Really looking forward to seeing some emails posted by you guys. And I know and I believe that we can do this. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next session. Bye bye.